Wagner's Mutiny and Unregulated Militias Destabilizing role. Last week's failed coup in Russia led by the head of the Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, highlights the risk that special or military forces act independently of the armed forces. Now it seems that the Russian authorities have decided to put an end to this scandal. Attention should be paid to other countries where these groups have expanded. Last Tuesday, President Vladimir Putin told members of the security services that during the Wagner Group military offensive, on June 24, his actions were clear and consistent and important to prevent war. President Putin gave Wagner his choice of soldiers. Today you have the opportunity to continue working in Russia or return to your family and friends by signing a contract with the Ministry of Defense or other law enforcement agency. Anyone can go to Belarus. My promises will be kept, Putin said. I repeat, the choice is yours. The clearest and most accurate example of private soldiers harming the security and public order of the region they serve, even if they work with the knowledge and support of the state. Wagner firefighters are known to work in many parts of the world, including Syria and parts of Africa, where they are sometimes self-employed, work independently, and may be involved in illegal trade and human rights abuses. After their brief protest in Russia and the next step of the Russian government, it is unclear what will happen to them abroad. Philosophers and scholars have long warned of the potential dangers of an independent military. Mainstream Sunni Muslim scholars have long held the view that only the state can support and wield power, although this view is not widely respected. The famous Arab poet of the 10th century, Al-Mutanabi, said, "He who sends the lion to hunt will one day become that beast." This wisdom is widespread in contemporary science, especially in Europe during the transition from feudalism to the nation-state. This transition is marked by a disorganized army and a separation passing through various tribes of feudal lords. Enacting laws by force or violence has become an important topic of modern culture and civil law. Niccolò Machiavelli, the 16th century Italian Renaissance writer, openly warned in the 16th century, mercenaries and auxiliaries are useless and dangerous. If one trusts them, if the soldiers come to take him over the country, then his business will not be stable and safe. Because they are inconsistent, impatient. The early 20th century German political philosopher Max Weber wrote that the monopoly of the use of force is a defining feature of the state because the same congregation is, successfully, a lawful use case, recognized the monopoly. Force given area. He also defined the state as an institution that claims to be free from the use of violence that cannot be interpreted otherwise. However, Weber does not include that the state can allow actors to use force as long as it stands alone and has the power to control this rule. This Weberian perspective has had political ramifications over the past century, including the justification for delegating or outsourcing state power to actors. However, the recent expansion of non-state actors, including state forces, has led to a rethink of permission. In some countries, such as the United States, the military is tightly controlled by division of labor and coordination and balance. They are almost indistinguishable from regular soldiers. State. Monopoly of exploitation. Other countries do not have the opportunity to control the armed forces of the state. In the Middle East, for example, there are increasing reports of out-of-control militias. While the justification for the existence of some of these armed groups can be justified from time to time, their continued persistence poses a serious threat to national security and unity, and the integration of the country's main military forces. An obvious example is Hezbollah in Lebanon, whose representatives serve in the Lebanese cabinet and parliament, but it has its own foreign and security policy and has little or no government oversight. Investigations have revealed many Hezbollah groups in Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Libya, Sudan, and elsewhere. As these state-sanctioned organizations increase in number and power, they often affect state institutions and threaten the nation. Even when created with knowledge and support, they become unsustainable. The new research thus challenges the apparent Weberian tolerance of groups. He suggests returning to the past tradition of Bodin and Hobbes and suggesting that the authority of the state is not only in its control, but also in its use. For this reason, the state should be an actor using force. The Wagner Group's rejection is an example that supports this view, because it shows that the state's freedom to use force can be broken by state sanction for private soldiers. While it is always difficult to remove the boundaries between the existing army and the private army, Wagner's documents suggest that greater control should be used to ensure that they serve the public better than a narrow group of people or departments benefit. The management and control of the associations and regular financial monitoring are important to ensure that they do not make mistakes.